Clash Royale over the years has implemented dozens of balance changes and released dozens of new cards. The game
Wait, Mad Girl? Oh my gosh. Guys, I think I found my soulmate.
This is Gratz. He's a well-known Clash Royale YouTuber who has exploded in popularity the last year, covering the history of various cards or updates inside of Clash Royale. His videos first rose to prominence back last year, when he uploaded his now infamous video regarding the witch alongside her history within Clash Royale as a card. Rather unfortunately, this is not Gratz's first time on the internet and with a massive presence, and with the evidence I have to present for myself, I doubt this would be the last. Truth be told, Gratz happens to be outrunning a past identity within the former CreepyProduce. I refuse to spend 20 minutes talking about his extended history about this old channel of his, but to run it all down within a few minutes. He was a well-known Mario Kart Wii YouTuber who rose to prominence back during late 2019 and mostly during 2020, ripping off concepts from Parashock X's If I See Blank the Video Ends series, and he transformed it into a trend that could be implemented within Mario Kart Wii. Not only that, he also ripped off Mankalaw's 101 Ways to Fail in Mario Kart 8, exporting that to Mario Kart Wii as well. CreepyProduce as an identity and as a creator or brand of sorts were later going to be ostracized from the Mario Kart Wii community and permanently banned from Wii 5 thanks to multiple lewd, creepy and sexual interactions he had with a minor back in 2021. At the time, CreepyProduce, or for the rest of the video, Gratz, was 19 and dating a 15-year-old, which is unacceptable. It was later uncovered that this girl, who I will not name for the sake of this video, had been groomed into a relationship with him. Once that was found out and he was ostracized thanks to making an extremely terrible set of apology videos in which he attempted to gaslight the girl he was having relations with whilst using the flimsy scapegoat that she was the one initiating everything, he was permanently exiled from the community for being an extremely horrible person. This event even prompted Miro, one of Mario Kart Wii's most beloved creators, to produce a video which presented further evidence related to CreepyProduce, or as I will be referring to as present identity, Gratz, in which she blatantly states that CreepyProduce is lying to everyone and manipulating them to cover his ass, whilst presenting even more evidence that sealed the deal for the CreepyProduce identity. If you are curious as to what Gratz or CreepyProduce did other than the things that I've just presented, allow me to showcase the following. Here he shows in graphic details what he wishes to do with a minor. Here's where he speaks about her being blindfolded. Here's where he showcases wishing to marry her. Finally, take a journey with me as we explore this god-awful apology video.
This is kind of where things started to turn, and I probably should have really been more firm on saying, no, this can't happen. But like, she just kept pushing me. She kept influencing me to, go through with this, keep talking to her, not give up the idea that this could work.
First of all, this is where he addresses the obvious and the fact he should have held some restraint regarding the relationship, which was a good thing, up until he was tempted and the aforementioned screenshots ended up leaking to the public. This is also where he keeps saying, she kept pushing me, she kept influencing me, and I'm pretty sure if you've already put the dots together, you can tell that both Gratz and CreepyProduce sound remarkably similar, with the exception that Gratz seems to be using a better microphone and mixes his voice differently, yet the enunciations within this speech remain the same. Let me make it clear here, yes, she may have initiated the advances and was eager to not be seen as a child, but that doesn't excuse the fact that later down the line, he ends up saying stuff like this to her before proceeding to further gaslight his audience into believing that he was the victim and he was pushed into this. That this was some inescapable scenario where he was backed into a corner and forced to do this stuff. He had a choice, he always had a choice, but like the groomer he is, he refused to back down and made advances on her that thankfully became public.
And just for the record, just to be clear, we were never dating. And the conversations never got sexual. Like, they never got like that. Like, there was never any explicit images sent to one another. Like, I knew that was not okay. Like, I said no, that's not happening. And we never really got sexual in our conversations like that because I knew that would just be weird. It's not like I was going to see her in person or do anything physical with her. I would have never done that.
Second of all, he says inside this video that they're not dating, despite some of the screenshots that were leaked clearly contradicting that. Furthermore, he claims that nothing got sexual when they clearly did, and the cherry on top was him trying to hide behind a veil of innocence by claiming he wouldn't dare do such a thing physically, as if it grants him some form of moral immunity to the fact he was still grooming a minor and potentially preying on her. I know this is a situation from 2 years ago, but that's the double-edged sword of this, and also leaving this matter out in the sun for so long. All of the evidence against Gratz under the CreepyProduce identity is available, but the fact that people, myself included, have waited so long has meant he's been able to build up a strong identity elsewhere, whilst believing he's above the consequences of his actions in the past.
Are you going to keep watching me? Are you going to keep supporting me? Can you forgive me? Is it going to take some time?
One more insulting thing about this first apology video, yes, first apology video, was the fact he asked his viewers whether or not they're going to continue watching him again, completely verifying the fact he doesn't care if the person mentioned within the screenshots. Hell, some of the screenshots that I found online had to be censored manually as he didn't bother to cover up the girl's name. But this is such an unbelievably shallow thing for him to say. Haha, I prayed on a mine, are you still gonna watch me? Unacceptable. The fact that Gratz still has a presence within the Clash Royale community with the sentiment of CreepyProduce sharing the same ownership as Gratz being censored immensely is disgusting. Those were just the highlights of his first apology video. His second apology video and the combined apology videos make up a saga that extends to being over 26 minutes long. This video will not be picking about every minor detail as I don't want it to be an eternity long, but I will run you through the second apology video and what explanations he made. Also, both of these videos will be in the description if you wish to listen to them in the full, alongside the citations of all the sources that I have.
Now, most of the stuff that I did say was completely 100% honest, but there is a few things I need to go over. Please do not harass this girl. This is not her fault. This is not, people should not be spamming her or harassing her in any way. I want the truth to be out there, so go ahead and take whatever you want from this video. But I'm going to be deleting it in a few weeks, hopefully after everyone can see it and know the truth.
Here's where he makes a point about being mostly honest here, which I find to be extremely contradicting yet again. It's clear that he was lying to his audience, and in a way, he is still lying to people today by pretending Gratz and CreepyProduce are two separate people when they clearly aren't. He furthers this by essentially saying that he doesn't want her to be harmed or harassed, which is clear bullshit considering he straight up forgot to censor her name and makes a point out of gaslighting her multiple times yet again in the same apology video as if to prove something. Finally, within his 10-minute video, as it's that long and it's filled with mostly waffling, comes the confession that he would rather it be in the open. Then he proceeded to disappear from the Mario Kart Wii community seemingly out of the blue thanks to being ostracized. Yeah, one loose end he's presumably forgotten to tie up was the fact he uploaded some Clash Royale videos to CreepyProduce on Reddit before abandoning it for a year. He also happens to be playing a lumberjack deck, seemingly foreshadowing what would become of his new identity, Gratz. Now that we've gotten that out of the way and presented the evidence that resulted in the CreepyProduce identity being ostracized from the Mario Kart Wii community, we can look forward to his modern day identity, Gratz. Although mentioned in passing, I like to reiterate the point about his voice being similar.
Clash Royale over the years has implemented dozens of balance changes and released dozens of new. And just for the record, just to be clear, we were never dating.
This correlation identity is further backed up by the fact that both Gratz and CreepyProduce seemingly using the same font within their thumbnails. I know this seems more like a coincidence, but whenever you compare the graphic design of one of his Mario Kart Wii thumbnails and one of his latest Clash Royale thumbnails, the resemblance is uncanny, and I can positively affirm that these thumbnails contain the same text as well as amateurish thumbnail style that he's been known for on both of these accounts. Furthermore, one of the posts on his aforementioned Reddit account before it was abandoned to the winds of time happened to be mentioning an idea featuring around a concept known as everything is overpowered, an idea he went on to replicate on the Gratz YouTube channel several months after this post was made. It is also shown that he's an avid Clash Royale player and has been for some time, especially considering this video here presents some pretty damning evidence that Gratz under his previous CreepyProduce identity is enjoying Clash Royale as he's been cited playing it within that video. Even more damning is the fact that within this video you can see a username known as GetWreckedMate in plain view. Rather hilariously, within one of Gratz's more gameplay oriented videos, he forgot to briefly censor his username for a few frames within that video, of which someone was able to uncover that the usernames were the exact same and tracked using a Royal API link, to which his clanmates are now thankfully aware Gratz alongside his past identity under CreepyProduce. If you are somehow still unconvinced that Gratz and CreepyProduce are the same person and you've been lied to for a year now, allow me to present the following. Here is a clip of someone typing in CreepyProduce into Gratz's YouTube comment section. Notice how the page then refreshes and the comment is gone. Well, you can do the same on the CreepyProduce channel but for Gratz, of which mentioning the username will warrant a removal alongside ban from his YouTube comment section. Seems rather guilty for an innocent man, does it not? Gratz is fully aware that his predatory past cannot chase him. One day his legs will give in and he won't be able to run away anymore, so in a feeble attempt to establish an identity elsewhere and make enough money to make an escape or perhaps a sustainable living for a while, he's gone through the effort of attempting to censor his old identity as much as possible, even going as far as to ignore setting up a Discord Discord server for his Gratz alias, considering his old alias CreepyProduce would be mentioned every 5 minutes, as almost everyone is acutely aware of the correlations between the two, with very few people actually stepping up to prove that both Gratz and CreepyProduce are the same person. Although this is blatant speculation, it is also suspected that he is in the back pockets of most of the Clash Royale Reddit mods, considering they removed posts about Gratz quite frequently. If you think I'm done presenting evidence that they're the same person, allow me to kindly prove you wrong. First of all, CreepyProduce took an unexpected 9 months absence around the same time that Gratz started uploading to YouTube, indicating that in spite of him being ostracized from the community, there was no longer a drive to maintain such a project if another one was successful and an escape plan was on the horizon. Second of all, I noticed one thing about Gratz's videos back then when they're coming out, before I noticed his voice or the video presentation. It happened to be how professional the editing was. Usually a YouTuber who emerges from out of nowhere with a somewhat viral idea of making a car documentary themed around Clash Royale should start off with relatively amateurish editing skills, but no, these videos had the clear trained hand of someone who had experience with the YouTube platform alongside the algorithm behind the creation of such videos. Not only that, his audio quality was suspiciously good, plus his room sounds like it's been acoustically treated, at least from what I can hear with my ears considering I'm used to working in a music studio. All of these things combined drew the conclusion that either way, he was either extremely prepared for YouTube or, like I've proven, had another identity in the past that we were secretly outrunning. Now, allow me to address some of the defensive arguments that could be made regarding Gratz's case, and more importantly, allow me to refute alongside disprove them using prior evidence presented within this video as well as Gratz's prior actions more generally. 15 and 19 isn't that big of a gap. Alright, this is the first thing I've heard a lot of people supporting or defending Gratz say, and quite frankly it disgusts me. Doing some basic math with 18 as the baseline, you can see that Gratz is 1 year above adulthood, whilst the girl he ended up grooming was 3 years behind that threshold, meaning he was not only exempt from the Romeo and Juliet law, which basically means if you begin dating someone as minors and then advance to adulthood, it technically isn't illegal so long you've been together a certain time as minors, but it straight up means that she wasn't even at their age of consent in most countries at the time the pair of them got into their relationship. There is a 4-year difference between the two. For some perspective, Gratz, at least in my country, is obligated to pay taxes at that age, whilst this girl he groomed was probably still eating dinner that her parents cooked and most likely hadn't even thought about getting her first job yet. That's the difference between Gratz and this girl. One still had limited responsibilities, another can straight up provide for people, has a job, and most likely has her own house too, especially because Gratz is now 21 and the girl he groomed is still under 18. Sure, it's okay for some parents to have that kind of gap or even larger because of maturity and then finding each other later in adulthood, but being 15 and 18 as teenagers means a whole new different level of mental maturity to deal with. One person is quite literally prepared for the adult world, kind of, and facing it, whilst the other isn't even thinking about it at the time. It's like if your mother or father decided to randomly open a relationship with a 15-year-old, they're still an adult dating a 15-year-old. Secondly, another argument that's presented is he seems genuinely sorry, wishes for her to move on, and wants to move on too. I'm glad the girl, for the most part, has moved on. But if you think he actually cared about her and didn't gaslight her for the benefit of his reputation, then he'd be more naive than those grandmas who send off Google Play gift cards to scammers in India. Believing Gratz inside of this scenario, especially after seeing how obviously he gaslights the victim in question, is an extremely short-sighted thing to do and often alludes to a jaded mindset in which you unconditionally support your favourite content creator even though they've done horrible things. All he's doing is attempting to censor the past and bury it in the hopes of running away from this, doing whatever he can to secure his reputation as well as save it. He even attempted to make a return on the CreepyProduce account as of recently to give off the illusion that he's not the same person running 2 different accounts. His elusive statements about care do not allude to her but his own reputation and ability to still exist on the internet without consequences coming knocking at his door. Finally, the argument I hear the most happens to be, it was a long time ago, so why do you keep bringing it up? I am sorry to break it to you, but those who groom minors or prey them are extremely likely to not only get a thrill out of everything they're doing, but to re-offend. It is literally programmed within the brain of a paedophile to enjoy something like that because it is forbidden to the world but normal to them. Furthermore, I know something lame such as cancel culture happens to target many people who did things that were era appropriate in the attempt at claiming some shorthand and temporary glory, but this is not a situation that will ever be appropriate in any context. What Gratz did under this alias is irrefutably wrong. It is twisted in so many ways and therefore the present or the future cannot forgive his past. He traumatized someone, he left them with a set of disturbing memories they will never move on from. All the while he has attempted to outrun his past, embarking on the fact that it's been 2 years and seemingly nobody has spoken up about it ever since he's gotten successful under the Gratz alias. He groomed a child. Either way, it was serious enough for him to be ostracized from one community, and did he take it as a warning or a lesson learned? No. Instead, he decided to restart his present all over again, claiming himself to be the good guy within his own deluded world as he fights a falsified redemption arc against those who wronged him, when it was he who wronged others. Grooming online comes with very little consequences. It is a great shame that Gratz, under the CreepyProduce identity and maybe under the Gratz alias himself, continues to exist as an individual online without being deplatformed in some way. For those who say he may have learned his lesson, he would have learned by not returning to the internet. Take a look at Minilad, for example. He was found to be sending explicit images to minors many years ago, only for him to attempt to reform over and over, tried to prove himself as a good guy when in reality, all he was saving was his income and nothing else. The same exact thing is happening with Gratz. He left his CreepyProduce alias in the dust so Gratz could shine and so he could build up to be successful in the hopes of collecting checks that he could live out for the rest of the future. In spite of the complex nature of this video and the subject at hand, I will allow you to make your own conclusion. It is not my responsibility to sway your opinion, but I trust you, the viewer, to make the right choices moving forward from this video, and I ask you kindly to share this video to as many people as possible to spread this message and to prevent Gratz from making a platform out of yet another alias when he's secretly a creep in disguise. Although if there's one thing to add before this video ends, it seems as if CreepyProduce as an alias is a spitting image of the person behind these accounts. With such a username and intentions, it's pretty easy to gather that he doesn't deserve a platform where he could take advantage of minors once again. And nobody who preys on naive and young teens deserves a second chance, let alone a third. He may choose to continue running from his past, but time will surely catch him first.